Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Rangers Review morning briefing for Tuesday, the 27th of September. I'm Derek Clark, and I'm joined this morning, as ever, by Jonny McFarlane. How are we getting on, Jonny?
Hi, mate. Good. Yeah, looking forward to another morning of Rangers chat. Although, let's be honest, looking forward to some games. The news is getting a little bit thin in terms of things that we can go over. But let's fire in.
Yeah, not half. Before we do that, folks, you can see the little ticker below. We've still got that fantastic offer on the website. Just £1 for 2 months worth of content. Go and sign up, check out, see if it's for you. I assure you, you won't be. You'll love the content on there. You won't be disappointed. So go and sign up. It's head over to rangersreview.co.uk/subscribe. And as ever, I've popped the link in the comments section. I do apologise. That's my dog barking there. That shows you that we are live as it happens here. Okay, let's talk Rangers, Jonny. A few things affecting the club. News. We'll start firstly with the news that came out yesterday evening. The SPFL, as we know, the Premiership clubs were meeting to discuss the new Sky Sports broadcast offer on the table. And the SPFL have announced that deal will be going ahead despite the objections from Rangers. It's a £150 million deal, ties the league up until 2029. The payments will be around £30 million per season. We've discussed at length about this deal, Jonny, and how we think it's not beneficial for Scottish football. But the 11-1 vote was altered so that Rangers' objections didn't factor into the overwhelming decision, and the overwhelming majority. The clubs in the Scottish Premiership have backed this deal. We've talked at length over a number of shows, Jonny, about this. We think it's short-selling Scottish football. We feel that it should have went to tender. It's amazing how it hasn't went there. But you spoke to Stuart Robertson last week. He spoke about his objections to this deal. Amazingly, though, it's going ahead, or is it amazingly, with who runs Scottish football at present? It seems like we're shooting ourselves in the foot. That's my opinion on it, Jonny. I know your opinion. You feel strongly about it as well. Quite a depressing state of affairs for me.
Yeah, it is. What happened was they needed all 12 clubs at the SPFL to give the okay to the deal as part of the structure of the deal and the things they were changing, because there was going to be 5 home games rather than 4 from each club. So they needed a notice that would be okay, and Rangers did not provide that. So in an attempt to circumnavigate that, they've created another vote that requires 11-1, and they've been able to get that after Livingston went along with it in the end. They had initially also not provided the okay to do that. So the SPFL have got their way. They've managed to get it through. You understand from their point of view, and I want to make it clear that if you're one of the smaller clubs, I can totally understand why a St Mirren or a Ross County want to get this deal done, because the way they see it, they'll look at it as strong economic headwinds coming in. We're seeing problems with the pound. We're seeing potential interest rates rises. We're seeing cost of living. This guarantees a certain amount of money. It's an increase. Yes, we're giving away more games, although it's actually, I think there's a guarantee for 42 games to be shown, although people are saying it's a 60-game deal.
Yeah.
They can show 60, but they won't.
No,
they've never shown what they're entitled to. You know, I think they were entitled to 48 in the current deal. I think it was 41 or 40 last year. So they'll see it as ensuring their long-term future up to 2029 in terms of the money that's coming in from the TV deal. It's not a lot of money to a club like Rangers, or indeed a club like Celtic, but to your Motherwells and to your Ross Counties, it is. So I would exempt those guys from blame. Where I would channel my frustration would be towards Celtic, who I can't believe are on board with this, primarily. And also, I think Hearts, Aberdeen, Dundee United, the major clubs in our game that are city clubs, Hibs, and who I think should be asking for a more professional setup for the SPFL. The big thing that Stuart Robertson told me, and it's been good to set the news agenda for the entire week on the back of an interview, it has to be said. What he told me was that he couldn't believe that it hadn't been put out to tender. There's 3 years left on this current deal, 2.5 years. I think it was till 2025. So 3 years, essentially. And why do we need to make a decision right now? Why isn't this something that we go through a process for where we allow others to come in and potentially bid? And if Sky's the only bid, then you look at that. I think the other thing that needs to be answered by the SPFL is why haven't they investigated the possibility of SPFL TV? 20 years ago, 10 of the 12 clubs went for SPFL TV when there was no real framework like you have now in terms of technology to make it happen. That now is completely not even being discussed or not even being investigated. What is the potential for an SPFL TV? I mean, do I have faith that they could run it? I think they would have to get better people in.
Yeah.
But that's a completely different point, Derek. The fact is, you investigate it, you use it to bump up the price because you have an option. I mean, negotiating 101, people all over are saying, people who are backing the SPFL in this stance saying, oh, well, there's no one else come in, they've had informal talks. Well, if informal talks are enough, well, why do you have a tender process in the first place? That's the first thing. And secondly, the whole point of creating an SPFL TV is that you have an option to create competition to push the deal up. It's infuriating, to be honest, and especially for those big city clubs who should be looking at the future of our game and whose turnover isn't completely made up of the kind of TV deal money as a huge part.
Yeah.
But it's done now, Derek. We're stuck with this. Scottish football has got a TV deal that's half as good as the one in Sweden, and it's not going to be much better, that's for sure, if adding 5 million or 4.5 million or whatever it is onto the end of it.
Yeah.
So that's just where we are. That's where we're going to be. And listen, let me tell you, countries like Sweden and Denmark, they're going to improve their deals.
Yeah.
While we're stuck with this and, gripped by inflation, etc., etc., it's not going to look, I don't think, like a lot of foresight in 3 or 4 years' time. I think it's going to be looked very, very dimly upon. But time will tell on that one, and we'll see how it all pans out.
Yeah, it's depressing stuff. I seen someone mention yesterday that the Scottish football is run by what appears to be a bowling club committee, and it certainly appears that way. I mean, we asked one good thing that Doncaster and Murdo McLennan have done for Scottish football, Johnny, and we couldn't think of one when they've been at the helm. So, yeah, depressing stuff, especially because Rangers pretty much make up, you would say, about 50% of the coverage of the games that they're going to be shown, yet they have no say. So, listen, not good news for me. I understand your point about the smaller clubs. It guarantees them an income, of course, but I would love to have seen them think outside the box and try and promote the game a bit better than what they have done. I think they've undervalued it big time. What's this comment from Matthew Ross? Flagged up here.
Listen, I think this is key to my frustration. We've got a generation now that are coming through that have known nothing but the internet, and they're passing on information to everyone. And like people of our generation, we're not old farts, Derek. I mean, I can find a stream like that. Now, not everyone is as technically aware or accomplished, but everyone in the generation below us is. Everyone who's under 30 is. And this is exactly the point that I think is so important, that it's a little bit lost, I think, on Doncaster and McLennan. Now, are they aware of how big an issue this is? They've put out the odd press release explaining how they've targeted pubs. That's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. The odd pub here and there that you're going out to grab, and this is the problem with the piracy element, is it's in everyone's individual house.
Yeah.
So it's not even as if you go, okay, there's this Pirate Bay site that does this, or there's this football streaming site that does that. There's myriad, there's hundreds, there's thousands of ways you can get streams.
Yeah.
They're constantly changing URLs. It's impossible to put the genie back in the box.
Yeah.
So that is the big threat. That is the big problem that they face. Piracy, it's staring them in the face, and I just don't know if they're even kind of grasping the metal on this. You need to make it easy. I'm constantly going on about this, about, you know, for our subscribers at the Rangers Review, you know, you need to make it one click. You need to make it, you know, Apple Pay, because I know, like, when I'm buying things, it's, you just want to click. I remember, and I've talked about this before, when I first started using eBay, you had to go in and put your card details in every time you wanted to buy something. Now, eBay on my phone is literally a double click, and that's it. And everything in our lives is being made easier and easier and easier. And piracy is a big part of that in terms of watching games. So you need to try and make it really, really, really straightforward for people to get a hold of whatever you're paying, you're creating, if you're creating official work. And there's ways you can do that within an SPFL TV format, that people, if they feel like they're giving something to a community, then they're more likely to do it. Now, I'm not saying SPFL TV is the answer to piracy. That's ludicrous. But if you're asking people to buy into the collective good, I think you take a bigger hit off piracy than you do if you're saying, give Rupert Murdoch an extra £20 a month.
Yeah.
Which there'll be a lot of people who'll just say, no, I'm not doing that, and I have no intention of doing that. Whereas if they think that it's money that's going directly to their own club, which, you know, a portion of it will be, I feel, and I'd be interested in what people in the comments are saying, Derek, but I feel like people would be more likely to just stump up for that. I think £30 for a month, by the way, is too high, Matthew, and that's the one thing I would say. If it was SPFL TV with every game available live and on demand on the app, I would say $14.99 is probably a better price for that. But there'll be different people with different ideas on that. I'm aware that you know, I'm probably quite comfortable financially in terms of how some people live their lives. So maybe $9.99 for some people, they would say would be a fairer price. I don't know. Some people might say $19.99. What do you reckon, Derek? I mean,
it depends.
For every game.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think £30 is a lot for that. At the end of the day, you're just watching Rangers, aren't you? If you're a Rangers supporter, you're just watching Rangers games. You're not interested in, no disrespect, Ross County v Hibs or what have you. So, listen, it's an interesting one. I'd have liked them to explore that. I think that's the way football's going, and being locked in until 2029 for me just seems it seems such a long way away. And the world of broadcasting and what have you is going to change rapidly, I think, Johnny, by the time we get to 2029, and I feel that Scottish football will just be lagging behind as ever. So I
think that's the big thing, Derek, is like, where's the innovation? Where's the kind of thinking outside the box? I've said yesterday, I'll back this up, say it again. Look, I admire Dave Cormack for at least trying different things. And he talks the talk about his own club and about what he wants to do and improve the atmosphere ahead of the game. You see Rangers trying to do this in terms of what's happening at Edmiston House, the fact they've set up the fan zone and things like that. I think there's an Americanization coming where if you're going to see Rangers, you're coming for the whole day. It's a day out for the family and as well as just your ordinary fan that's going along, where you get there early, you have something to eat, you have something to drink, you know, and you make like a 6, 7, 8 hour event out of it. Now, that's not going to be for everyone, but I think that it makes sense from a financial point of view, and it makes sense from an experiential point of view about why you go to the game as opposed to just watching it on telly. I noticed that in the Daily Record today, there was a good article by Andy Newport talking to the Swedish the head of the Swedish league, and he was saying exactly this. Look, our games are on telly, but our attendances are going up because we're doing stuff to ensure that people enjoy coming to the games, that the game is a different environment, it's a different product, it's a different atmosphere. And that's absolutely what needs to be done. It's a big part of it. And I look at McLennan, I look at Doncaster, and I think, do you get young people? Are you understanding about future-proofing this sport, this game that we all love, so that my kids, Derek, and your kids aren't growing up as Man City fans and Liverpool fans? Because that's what I see more and more walking around Glasgow. Kids with Real Madrid tops, kids with Man City tops. And to be honest, I care about Scottish football as well as Rangers. I care about the overall game immensely. And when I see a Man City top or a Barcelona top, sometimes my heart sinks a little bit, because I think to myself, when I was a kid, it was Aberdeen tops, Dundee United top, Rangers, Celtic tops, your local team. There wasn't this clamour to follow the big global clubs in the game. And we need to try and get on top of that. Now, you're not going to put the genie back in the bottle, but kids are attracted by glamour. Crikey, listen, I come from Perth, I became a Rangers fan with a family. None of my family are Rangers fans. My uncle is, and that was part of the reason he used to take me to Ibrox as a kid. But I'm talking about my localised family. I became a Rangers fan because the glamour of the Souness era. When I was 5, I was totally taken in by it. I didn't have a club. I was like, that's for me. And I think that's important to drive the future fans. You can't always just pull everyone in from a pool that's handed from father to son. Although that's very important. And the only way you can do that now is through innovation and trying to grab the attention of younger people. And just look at what they're doing. It just seems like it's, by guys their age, for guys their age, and that's not to criticise. It's nothing about their age. It's for a very select demographic, I think. Like, where's the stuff that's to drive ages 5 to 20? That's the important one for me.
Yeah. And also leads on to another issue, that the fan experience at games. You hear of fans just being kettled in, especially at away matches. There is no real fan experience. Like you say, Johnny, people are travelling from all over, kettled into a stand, and then kettled back out, and there's nothing really there in terms of entertainment. It should be a day out for supporters going to the football. I'm not talking about Ibrox. I'm talking about going away to other places. And I know Rangers have got the fan village now, which is brilliant in Edmondson House, which will make it a big difference as well. But it's a day out. I go to numerous games down south, and it's night and day when I come back home up to Scotland. It really saddens me when I go to these grounds, and even daft things like, I know it's a different issue, of course, but you're allowed to drink alcohol in the concourses down south, but that's not allowed. People are treated like adults down here. There's loads of stuff on for kids and what have you, and I just fear with those at the helm in Scottish football that they don't really, not really aware of that, or promoting the game in such a fashion to increase the crowds and bring in more revenue as well. So, sad state of affairs, unfortunately, folks, with regards to the TV deal. We'll move on, Johnny. Other thing I wanted to touch on, news that broke this morning. Rangers have been fined £225,000 by the Competition and Markets Authority after being found guilty of price fixing on official merchandise alongside JD Sports and Elite Sports. JD Sports have been fined just under £1.5 million. Elite Sports have been fined £459,000. It relates to fixing the retail prices of a number of Rangers branded replica kits and other clothing products from September 2018 to July 2019. What do you make of this, Johnny, this news that's come out? An expensive slap on the wrist, this one.
Listen, it's not great. I think the reason that Rangers partnered with Elite at the time was because they have retail expertise. So I think that Rangers were being guided to some extent on how they were approaching the retail offering by Elite, and that was certainly the plan. There's no kind of sugarcoating it. £225,000 is a lot of money and not where you would want to spend it, really. But at the same time, they have underlined that Rangers' role in this was limited. It was primarily between Elite and JD Sports.
Yeah.
So I think it's one of those, you say, you file that under a lesson learned. It's a situation where fundamentally mistakes have been made, and they need to be put down, and the person and people involved need to make sure that they don't happen again. It's as simple as that. It's an expensive lesson for those individuals, let me tell you, and for Rangers. But I don't really know what more you can say than that, Derek. Really, it's a situation that it's simply not a good scenario for the football club. But 225,000, I don't think that's a terrible situation ultimately. While the club won't be happy with it, I think the statement itself from the CMA does say ultimately Rangers played a small part for a small amount of time, and much larger fines have gone to the other two that are involved. I think it's 2 million total, isn't it? But Rangers are only paying 225,000 for that. So just over 10% of that fine is been chalked up to Rangers. So you just have to move forward and say that's a lesson learned. I don't know if there's any other way to approach it, really, unless you've got what do you reckon?
Yeah, absolutely. CGM 55 said it's 4.5 Glenn Kamara's of a mistake. Yeah, listen, you don't want fines of any note, really. And I mean, it happened a few years ago now, and I'd like to think they've learned their lesson from this, and it won't happen again. It's money that can be spent on better things. There's no doubt about it. Let's touch on that.
I mean, another thing to say, I don't think Rangers were actually aware of the conversations that were taking place between JD Sports and the other company, Elite. I don't think that Rangers were. I think it was more about their role as kind of like being the person in charge of the IP. So this is one for the club to have an internal investigation and find out solutions for and move on. But 225, not a huge amount. If we've been talking 3 million or 1.5 million, then it's a different story. I think this is the first thing that we talk about, and there's a lot of anger about mistakes that have been made. Fundamentally, this seems to me like a bit of a slap on the wrists, and Rangers just have to take it as such and ensure that such errors are not repeated.
Yeah. Yes. Adam gets in touch there. It looks in the same boat as me and dire need of a coffee. Go and fill your boots, Adam. A couple of points that came in. Scott Swelder says, great survey sent out via email by the Rangers Review. Complete and give feedback if you get a chance. Yeah, this has been sent out, folks. If you'd be so kind as to fill in that'd be absolutely fantastic. Just to give you your views on the site, that would be terrific. Sean Martin gets in touch. Hi, Derek. Any news on the injury front on Rangers players? Not at the moment, Sean. What we'll do is we'll speak to Giovanni Van Bronckhorst at some point this week. I'd imagine it may be Friday, with the game being early on the Saturday. And I'll ask the manager what the situation is with a number of players. Of course, there's many players on this treatment table, Johnny. We've spoke at length about this. Well, it'd be good to get the likes, especially Tom Lawrence, who did say that after the Dundee United game. He expects him back after the international break. I think if he can be part of the squad heading to Tynecastle, that will be huge. I'm also keen to hear if Kemar Roofe is any closer. I'm not too sure. He did say he could be or not. He didn't really. A weird one, that one. Covered all bases, a manager, with regards to that one. But he's another one I'd like to find out the status of his recovery. Alex Lowry, of course, we've seen him posting a message, a picture on his Instagram. I think it was last week or just the tail end of the week before, with the boots back on. So that's good news as well. John Suter, Ben Davis are two others we've yet to really see. Philip Hollander, I've sort of gave up hope of seeing him anytime soon. I don't think the prognosis is good on him. But I think Lawrence is a one for me, Johnny. If Rangers can get him back for the trip to Tynecastle, I think that could be massive.
Yeah, absolutely. Tom Lawrence has emerged as a big player, and Derek, you called it. I've said it before. I've given you praise on this. You said when he was linked, this guy will be top notch for Rangers. I've seen him twice. He was outstanding both times, and he certainly looked like he's settled in very, very quickly. He gives you that dynamism from an 8 position, which we just don't really have otherwise. I mean, Scotty Arfield provides it to some extent, but Scotty's not getting any younger, is he? No. So absolutely massive that he gets back as soon as possible. Got fingers crossed on that, and hopefully there will be a way that he can get back in for that Hearts game, although maybe that game will come a little bit too soon from Derek, given he's been out for a few weeks. In terms of the others, and Darren, I think this is important. We kind of know the situation with I think most of the players. In terms of John Souttar and Philip Lander, they've both got long-term injuries. Now, we don't have any detail on John Souttar's injury and what it is, and that's something I think we might want to drill into the detail if we can, but both are out long-term. In terms of Yanis Hadji will come back after the World Cup, all things being well and continuing in a good way. We don't know about Kemar Roof, as Derek said. That one was a very, very strange answer and seemed to indicate that it would be kind of up to the player when he would return. If he had a positive mindset and threw himself back into it, it could be very soon, but equally it might take a little bit longer. It wasn't clear, put it that way. And listen, we need to give Giovanni Van Bronckhorst a little bit of leeway on these sort of things because English isn't his first language, although he does speak English very well. So that was just one. I think people saw the quotes and weren't quite sure as to what that meant with regards to Kemar Roof. So might get a little bit of clarity on that. But in terms of those other 3, I think we know that that's going to be a while. It's going to be a reasonable length of time. But at the back, fortunately, very fortunately, you've got James Sands, you've got Connor Goldson. You've got the depth in there with Leon King. To just give you that sense of security. Ben Davies coming back as well. Those 4, that should be enough centre-back wise to keep Rangers going through this as they wait to find out what's going on and when these other 2 could be back.
Yeah. Listen, I think, and they're key players as well. Rangers need these players back in contention because it can certainly make a difference with regards to the form. Alex Campbell mentioned a point: is King not injured too? Let's see a rumour going around. He said I had a slight knock. I think again he's another one that will get an update on Alexander and that press conference that will take place later on this week. Fingers crossed it's nothing too serious and he's okay because it has been good. Everyone loves to see one of your own make the step up into the first team, and I think Liam King is certainly.
I think Liam King played for Scotland. I may be wrong. I'm sure he did.
Yeah,
not Scotland. The youth teams. I think it was under 21.
Yeah.
So I think he's fine. I think it was just a knock.
Well, that's good. That's good to know. Okay. And comments come in saying Ryan Jack might play tonight for the Scotland senior side as well. I think they're playing Ukraine in the Nations League. Alexander Campbell said he didn't play for Scotland, Leon King. So, CGM 55 did play for Scotland. There seems to be a bit of confusion. Did Leon King play or didn't play for Scotland the other night? We'll get an update on him though, folks. If he's fit enough to make that squad heading over to Tynecastle. We'll get the update from Gio at the end of the week. Okay. Yeah, as I mentioned, Ryan Jack, I've seen a comment coming in that might play for the Scotland senior side tonight. A number of the Rangers players featuring for their countries. Seen Fashion Sakala was playing last night for Zambia. Glenn Kamara likewise for Finland. There was an incident actually with him, another racial incident, which it's not good to read this morning. Hopefully Glenn is okay. Ridvan Yilmaz, I see he was coming in for a bit of stick, even though he didn't play for Turkey they get beat by the Faroe Islands, which wasn't a good result for them. Although the Faroe Islands have been pretty resurgent of late. But hopefully these players can come back in one piece and can feature for Rangers when they make that trip across the M8 on Saturday. Okay, folks, I think that will do us there. Thanks to everyone for interacting with the show as ever. It's very much
Derek,
Yes.
Sorry, mate. Just some clarity on Leon King. I finally found it. So he wasn't included in the team to face Northern Ireland due to a knock. So
Right,
fair
okay.
enough. I must have missed that this week. So yeah, that's one we definitely need to get to the bottom of, because there was no detail on what the diagnosis is or what the injury was, but certainly missed out. So definitely one to keep an eye on, because if Leon King wasn't available, then all of a sudden you are going down to sort of bare bones with Ben Davies, Connor Goldson, and James Sands. You don't have an awful lot there. So yeah, that's probably an important update. I completely missed that during the week.
Well, fingers crossed he's going to be okay. But like I say, folks, we'll get a clearer picture on the injury situation later on when we speak to the Rangers manager. Okay, just a reminder, of course, that great offer on the website, just £1 for 2 months worth of content. It really is a great offer. We've got to head over to rangersreview.co.uk/subscribe. There's a great piece on there this morning from Martin Ramsey. He takes us back in time to that terrific Rangers victory over Juventus back in 1978, I believe it was, when Rangers 2-0 at Ibrox. What a night that was. So I do encourage you to go and have a wee look at that, everybody. Okay, we'll be back again tomorrow, but until then, enjoy the rest of your